Using Chef Sheet to track and report your purchases. Chef Sheet has powerful tools to help you track your purchases and control your costs. Purchase tracking is done as part of each inventory. You can track the purchases of any item contained in any of your inventories. Let's take a look at the purchase tracking section of Chef Sheet to see how this works. Next to any inventory, click the Track Purchase button to open a purchase tracker. Purchase trackers are linked to an inventory and contain all of the same items with the same prices as the inventory that they're linked to. To get the most from Chef Sheet reports, enter your purchases into the purchase tracker linked to your current month's inventory. In this example, we would have counted inventory for October already. We are now in November, and we're going to use our current month, November, to enter our purchases, which have been made in November. This is the purchase tracker. Notice that in your inventory view, where your items are organized by room, in the purchase tracker, your items are organized by vendor. Begin by clicking on any vendor name. To begin entering purchases, click the blue Add Purchase button next to any item. The information you'll need to enter your purchases is found on your invoices. The date here is your invoice date. The price here is the latest price you paid for this item. Each time you enter a price here, the price on the inventory will change as well. Here you will enter the number of purchase units you received, and here you'll enter an invoice number. To search for specific items in your purchase tracker, push Ctrl F and type the name of the item you wish to find. To continue working from a single invoice, find the items you have purchased and click the Add Purchase button next to those items. Whenever you push the Add Purchase button while working with the same vendor, Chef Sheet will assume you are entering more purchases from the same invoice. To help you, the invoice date and invoice number will remain from the last purchase you entered. To begin working from a new invoice, simply change the date and/or invoice number. You may have multiple invoices to enter, which is fine, but using the autofill feature and entering one invoice at a time may be faster than entering all the purchases for one item at a time. Purchase trackers are a continuing file. Anytime you click this Track Purchase button next to an inventory, you can see your previous entries and add more if you wish. You may continue to use a single purchase tracker for a period of 1 month, for a week, or maybe for an entire year, whatever your specific needs are. However, later in this video, we'll show you how to combine purchases and inventories over a month to get the most from your Chef Sheet. A few other things to note. To see purchase totals for your entire purchase tracker, click on the All Vendor view and scroll to the bottom. You can also add purchases from the All view if you wish, but your items will not be sorted by vendor here. To delete any purchase, press the red X here, and when you're done entering purchases, always click the green Save button, which will follow you as you scroll. If you have a new inventory item to add while entering invoices or entering purchases, you can do so by clicking here. Enter all the same information you would when entering the item into an inventory, and you will see the item in your inventory that corresponds with the purchase tracker. To get the most from your purchase tracking and from using Chef Sheet overall, use the Copy for Next Count or Duplicate Inventory function to begin a new count for a new period. As we've covered in other tutorials, one month's ending inventory becomes another month's starting inventory, and so on. Here, I'm making a copy of my end of October food inventory, which I will rename End of November. Chef Sheet will keep my purchase information for as long as I keep the inventory that I use to track these purchases. I can archive the inventory or I can keep it active. The purchase information will be available for reports forever until I delete the inventory. Purchase information is not copied with the Duplicate Inventory function, allowing new purchase information to be entered for the new period. Chef Sheet has several reports to help you control your purchasing. The first report is the Purchase Report, accessed here. Click the Purchase Report button with the inventory name where you entered your purchases. You will now see a menu of all of your inventories with the one you clicked pre-selected. Now you can do nothing and leave the one inventory you have clicked selected, or you can add up to a total of 12 inventories. When multiple inventories are selected, Chef Sheet will prepare a rolling trend report showing your purchases over time. You can then choose to sort your report by vendor or by category total. The categories are the categories you selected for the items when you added them to inventory. Categories may include food, beer, liquor, wine, etc. The purchase tracking report, like all Chef Sheet reports, can be displayed as a PDF or downloaded as a CSV, which can be opened in Excel and used to compare and contrast with other data. Now that we have seen how to enter purchases into Chef Sheet, we will learn how to combine purchases and inventory information to get the most from Chef Sheet and gain great insights into why our business's costs are what they are and how best to control them. We'll begin with the consumption report, which is found in the recipe report section. Starting inventory plus purchases minus ending inventory is a very important formula for restaurants. Your checkbook or bookkeeper can tell you how much you spent on products during a month or a given period. By adding an inventory taken at the start and the end of each period, you can tell the important number of how much you consumed. Using Chef Sheet's consumption report, you can see how much of each inventory item you consumed during a given period. For example, you may know you bought 9 cases of wine, and you may know from your POS system that you sold 96 bottles. Now, to know that your sales of this wine are correct and no wine is missing or wasted, you need to include in your calculation how much of this wine you started with at the beginning of the period and how much you ended with at the end of the period. Chef Sheet will combine your starting inventory with your purchases and your ending inventory to tell you how much of this wine you consumed, so you can match this against how much you sold, or it can help you with future purchases. To view a consumption report, click the View Reports button in the Recipe and Report section. Select the Consumption Report. Now, select a starting and ending inventory. Note, Chef Sheet will include your purchase information from the ending inventory you have selected. On the screen now, Chef Sheet will be looking at the purchase information found in the Food End of Month November Purchase Tracker. The Food End of Month October purchase information will not be included in this report. Choose your format. You can view on screen or share easily as a PDF. To download and perhaps analyze your data differently, choose the CSV format, which can be opened in Excel and other spreadsheet programs. Here you will see all the items included in the inventories and the purchases, with the consumption in units, which are always purchase units, such as pounds, cases, whatever you had selected as your purchase unit when you entered the item into inventory, and in dollars, which is the dollar amount of the purchase units. These figures represent the amount you started with plus your purchases minus the amount you ended with, what you used during that financial period. The consumption report can show you how much of any item you buy you actually used in a given period. When you compare this number to your sales or your expectations of what you should have sold, you can learn very important things about your business. Using Chef Sheet's Cosmeter, you can take all of this one step further and not only see your consumption, but know exactly what your ideal consumption was, or to say another way, what your consumption should have been versus what it actually was. You can see how much Amstel Light, flat iron steak, butter, or any other item you buy you should have used in a given period versus how much you actually did use. Seeing these numbers can show you where in your operation there is waste and theft, and thus give you the opportunity to do something about it. The Cosmeters are found in the Recipe and Report section of Chef Sheet. The Cosmeter uses the recipes you have created in the Recipe section of Chef Sheet, along with your item sales or product mix generally found in your POS system, along with your inventory and purchase data, to analyze how much of all the items you purchased you should have used in a period versus how much you did use. To create a Cosmeter, you must first have entered your recipes made up of the ingredients in your inventory. You can learn to create recipes by viewing the recipe tutorial found on the tutorial page. To begin a Cosmeter, click the new Cosmeter and name your Cosmeter. Choose any name that you like, such as food, liquor, beer, wine, January, February. Now select the recipe categories you wish to include. Recipe categories are chosen when you create a recipe and should match your sales categories, such as food, liquor, beer, or wine, and not your inventory categories, like maybe beef, dairy, white wine, red wine, dry goods. Chef Sheet works with one category list. There are no parent categories, so you will see the categories used in both the recipes and inventories listed here. Only select your sales categories for the Cosmeter. If you wish to analyze, say, steak, you may find the recipe in food and some of the ingredients in beef or meat. For the Cosmeter, you would be looking at the food. There'll be an opportunity to add those inventory categories later. You may select as many categories as you like. If you are the bar manager, you may want to only work with the liquor, beer, and wine. If you're a chef, you may choose just food. However you want to work with your Cosmeter. You can then create as many as you need, so multiple categories in any one Cosmeter may not be useful for you, or you may wish to analyze multiple categories at one time. Now select a starting and ending inventory. Like the purchase report, Chef Sheet will include the purchase information from your ending inventory. Whichever inventory you select as your ending inventory, the information from the purchase tracker will be included in your Cosmeter. The purchase information from your starting inventory would have been used last month and won't be used here. When you select your inventory, a list of all of the categories present in the inventory will show up here. Now this is where you tell Chef Sheet that items like beef and dairy are sold as food, or items like whiskey are sold as liquor. Simply use the pull-down menus to tell Chef Sheet which of the categories present in your inventory will be associated with which sales categories from your recipe. How were these categories sold? If you're working with more than one category in the Cosmeter, click the chain to break the link, and you can set different categories here. You will then link the categories in your ending inventory just as you did your starting inventory. Now you will see all of the recipes with the plate, cost, and ingredient. From your inventories and purchases, Chef Sheet knows how much of each ingredient you did use during the period you are analyzing between the starting and ending inventories and the purchase information provided from the purchase track. From your recipes, Chef Sheet knows how much of each ingredient you should have used. Enter the item sales from your POS recipe by recipe. Now you can see how much your actual consumption of ingredient varies from your ideal consumption, how much of each product was wasted or never used as it was intended. We all want to reduce our cost of goods. The Cosmeter is now showing you where you must go, which department or employees you must visit to reduce your waste, decrease your food costs or beverage costs, and increase your profit. All of the information in the Cosmeter can be reported on by clicking View Reports, Cosmeter Report. Choose the Cosmeter from the drop-down list and PDF or CSV from the blue buttons below.